So has your opinion of NSA leaker Edward Snowden changed as a result of all this? Your tweets are at the bottom of the screen as we talk with Colonel Cedric Leighton, a former NSA Deputy Training Director, and Amy Stepanovich, the Domestic Surveillance Project Director at the Electronic Privacy Information Center. Thank you both for being with us. Colonel, I want to start with you first. I worry that, okay, I don't want anybody spying on my phone records, but this has to interfere with terrorism and all the things that the NSA is supposed to do to protect us.
Well, Tracy, that's one of the tightropes that the president has to walk, and he did a pretty good job, I think, in his speech today, outlining not only what kinds of things are happening in the terrorist world, but also the kinds of things that we have to watch from a privacy perspective. So when you look at it from a security standpoint, Tracy, you have to see that there are certain things that we need to do both as a security agency, if we're talking about NSA, as well as law enforcement agencies, and to find that happy medium is going to be the challenge. But he outlined some proposals that I think will allow the country to get to a point where we can actually do that with a reasonable degree of certainty that we're capturing the bad guys and going after the bad guys when we need to, but protecting the privacy interests of the people of the United States.
Amy, let me bring you in. As the Colonel just said, this is a difficult balancing act. Did the president do enough to keep that balance, or would you like to see the president rein in the NSA even more?
Well, I think it's a really significant first step, especially when you're talking about the 215 telephony metadata program, which we have seen zero evidence has prevented any attacks across the world. And the president really today made a significant decision that he was going to end that program. He made a promise to the people, and I think we need to hold him to that promise.
Colonel, I'm going to turn the same question over to you. Were you happy with what you heard today, or do you actually want them to back off a little bit?
Well, for what I heard today, Tracy, I thought it was a very good, measured approach that takes the security concerns, the legitimate security concerns into consideration, but also helps with the legitimate privacy aspects. And it also does something on the foreign side, which I thought was very, very good, and it probably opens the door to intelligence cooperation with intelligence agencies around the world where there have been some problems as of late.
Amy, it's the old argument, though, isn't it? If you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to worry about what the NSA does. Of course, the libertarians and others who don't like this will say, I don't care, it's an invasion of my privacy. But in this world, this dangerous world we live in, there has to be some form of surveillance. Part of the problem is a large majority of internet traffic goes through U.S. servers. And so whether you're talking domestic or foreign, there's a large or a need, those would argue that are for this, to monitor what goes through on the U.S. servers. And that, as I say, it's just a reality, a fact of life. Would you not agree?
I think it's even a more important fact of life that when you have secret, largely unaccountable programs, that they're going to be abused. The president recognized this potential. He actually said that they hadn't been abused. I would have disagreed with the president on that. I think in opinions we've seen from the FISA court, we've seen them say that these programs have been abused. And I think we need to make a move, and the president has started this move, toward a more transparent surveillance intelligence community. And I think that's incredibly important. It's not a matter of if you have anything to hide. It's a matter of what kind of world do you want to live in.
Okay, but to Ashley's point, Colonel, everything moves on Wi-Fi now, which means money laundering, you name it, is moving over my head as we speak, right? And so the world is moving so fast. Can the government actually keep up with it? I mean, is that part of the problem here? Maybe I don't need to know what's happening as long as I am confident that the government has this under control. And maybe the concern is that they don't.
Well, and that's a legitimate concern, Tracy, from a security standpoint. You're absolutely right. And NSA had a significant challenge not only after 9/11, but even before that, when all the traffic moved from radio waves to the internet. And because of that, technically NSA had some huge challenges to really overcome when it came to this whole effort, this whole surveillance issue. And because they worked various things from, oh, by the way, all three branches of government, they were able to come up with a solution that obviously needed to be tweaked, but there is still a way in which they were able to do this that, so far at least, has done some things to protect us, but probably not nearly enough for the amount of money that's been spent on it.
Right.
Amy, does this give some sort of vindication to Edward Snowden? Does it change the public opinion of him that we've gotten to this point where the president is acknowledging that changes need to be made?
I think you'd have to ask the public if they've decided that, you know, their opinion has changed. We've seen opinion shift. Definitely more people empathize with him now than when he first came out, which is a positive direction for the whistleblowing community. Now, I mean, honestly, we would not be having this conversation if not for the documents. And I think the conversation lies with the documents and not actually with Edward Snowden. I think we should talk about what the government is doing and not necessarily focus on the person who allowed us to have that conversation.
Yeah, good stuff to be talking about. Colonel Cedric Leighton, Amy Stepanovich, thank you both for a good conversation.
Yeah, interesting debate.
Yeah.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.